A day without women. I think this almost the end. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long. A day without women. Now, this came up because Trump got in office. One of the most, according to America, one of the most vilest white men on the planet. To me, he's the most realest white man on the planet. To me. So now, they came up with this because Trump got elected by who?
White women.
Thank y'all. He got elected by white women, which is why black women need to understand, like a sister had wrote in her book, that the black woman was the mule for white women. And that's a true statement. And the black man is the mule for the white man. And we don't realize how much we get used to where they seduce. And I'm going to show y'all something about black women and how far y'all actually come in America, on America's terms, to where y'all should never associate with white women anymore. But black women have become so seduced. Here it is. They said Trump is worse because he said grab him by the box or grab him by the vagina. And he's so vulgar. Now, when you think about Trump getting in office, who was his opponent to get in office? Hillary Clinton. Ain't she a woman? A white woman at that, right? Ain't that the time for the feminists to come up? That's the feminist come up, ain't it? That should be the time. Hillary should have won by a landslide from at least, if she, let's say, if she wouldn't have won. The percentage of women, the white women that voted for Trump was 54%. So that means Hillary got 46. If the white women really wanted women to roar and be strong, it should have been like 80-20, maybe 90-10 in support of Hillary from white women. So why do y'all think it is that they voted for Trump? Who wants to take a guess? Anybody? There's going to be a lesson for you black women. Who want to take a guess? Nah, I know you know the answer. You get it, sis.
The stand behind the white man.
To do what?
The standing behind the white man.
Give that girl a hand.
Badell.
Badell? She said heavy. She said to stand behind the white man. You know why she would stand behind that white man? Because although Donald Trump is vulgar as hell, because he disrespects women, she also knows that he won't let another woman, another race touch her. So he'll put her in office because he has a military standing behind him, a power behind him. If an African says something to me, if an Arab says something to me, he will bomb the hell out of the whole country for me. And that's more important than him saying grab me by the box. Meanwhile, if a brother say something sideways, 911 right on the dot. Black women, you rather have the power over the man than the protection that the man can only give you. Right. And the power that you're taking is destroying you. Because the only power you can get outside of a black man is either a white man or that white woman that you chose to join. And of course, I got a biblical description. We just celebrated the Feast of Purim. For those that don't know, the Feast of Purim was about Queen Esther, who was a queen under a king of another nation. She hadn't seen that king in a minute. And here it was, one of the king's servants put out a decree to kill the Jews. And Mordecai, who was an Israelite, was mad at that and sat at the doorstep, tore off his garments. He was in ashes, but he was a peasant in comparison to the queen. Who did Queen Esther listen to? Did Queen Esther listen to the king, or did she listen to the peasant? Who did she listen to? Anybody know? The peasant. She listened to the peasant. That should be a lesson to black women. That black woman was a queen in the kingdom, and she used her power to belittle herself, to humble herself to a peasant. And when she humbled herself to that peasant, freed the whole goddamn nation. Right. Now imagine if black women like Michelle Obama, when she was under that heathen, did that. Right. You would actually free your people. But when you love other people more than yours, you're destroyed. Right. That's why the Bible is the only answer, because you'll never get a scenario like today anywhere else but the Bible. Period. That's why I pulled out Purim. So now, the organizers behind January's March on Washington are using Wednesday as a day of action to spotlight the economic power and value of women and the contributions to society in paid and unpaid labor. Organizers hope to call attention to economic injustices that women face, such as lower wages, gender discrimination, sexual harassment, and job insecurity. This day is also intended to push for gender justice. You cannot have a day about nothing in America without gender justice. Y'all know what gender justice is, right? That's where them faggots come, excuse my language. That's where them lesbians come. That's gender justice. Recognizing that trans and gender non-conforming people face equally compelling issues of discrimination and marginalization. And since we've been in America, every time they've had an active public right for black people, gays are always a part of it. Martin Luther King's right-hand man was who? Who knows? Bayard Rustin, an open homosexual. That's who's a part of our organization. So now give me the next slide. Education. So now let's look at the education of the black woman to see if she need to be marching with the white woman and care about white women's problems, or is she just being used to push the white woman's propaganda? It says a new report confirms that black women are now the most educated group in the United States. So what are they marching for? It says, well, we still have a long way to go for pay equity. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, between 2009 and 2010, black women earned 68% of all associate degrees awarded to black students, as well as 66% of bachelor's degrees, 71% of master's degrees, and 65% of all doctorates awarded to black students. Black women is killing it in the game right now. Right. I don't know why they need to march for education. Right. But when you don't know, when you just go by media propaganda, it seduces you. The report also says that the percentage of U.S. college students who are black increased from 10 to 15% from 76 in 2012, while the percentage of white students fell from 84% to 60%. By both race and gender, a higher percentage of black women are enrolled in college than any other group, topping Asian women, and white men, meaning more black women are in school than anybody on the planet in America. So what you marching for? But when you don't know this type of information, when you've been seduced, that's why I brought it from slavery. That's why I showed the DNA. When it's in your DNA to subject yourself unto the punishment and torture, you don't think to look it up. You just follow, well, I'm going to hate Trump because the white woman hate Trump. You don't even really know why you hate Trump. That's why, like, a lot of people got mad at me when I said I wanted Trump to get in office. I really did. I'm going to tell you why. If we would have had Hillary Clinton in office, we'd have been under that same 8-year spell Obama put us under. Looking for another opportunity. Having Trump in office allows you to face the white man in his purest form. Right. When you think of your president, when you salute that goddamn flag and say, I pledge allegiance to the United States, now you got to think of a real devil, of a real diabolical beast that you know hates you. And it should make you question who you're giving your loyalty to. Should your loyalty continue to go to America, or should it go to that homeless brother that needs a meal, to that sister that's been molested, to that brother that's on drugs? Where should our loyalty go to? We got to reanalyze our thought process. Keep going. Black women, now we're going to look at this. The day without women have anything to do with black women. Black women have made the greatest strides recently. In 2011, 33% of employed black women have jobs in management or professional occupations compared to 23% of black men. As a matter of fact, 64% of working African American women hold white-collar occupations compared to 50% of black men. 36% of employed black men hold blue-collar jobs compared to 8% of black women. So even in corporate America, black women are winning. So when they said we got to do that marching, well, black women had to do that marching, what was you really marching for? How much more? You was doing fine without a march. Like, before you ever marched, you was killing it. You 64% of white collar. Women don't want to do no labor anyway. You had 64%. Imagine if you didn't march, if you stayed doing what you was doing. What you're lacking, though, is guidance, because a black man would have been in your house and said, don't go down there and march. Right. My wife didn't go down there and march. She knew she ain't supposed to have nothing to do with that. No brother in the Israelite school I.S.U.P.K. wife said, I'm going down there and march. That's right. I don't know about the rest of y'all. Y'all probably send y'all down. The next slide. I know some of y'all probably was down there like, I want to see what they're talking about. Now we're going to talk about fathers to see if the black man being taken out, because remember, the feminist movement was about removing the black man out the house. So let's see how it is with the man out the house or in the house. It says, father-absent families generally occupy the bottom rung of our society's economic ladder. Unwed mothers are 4 times more likely to live in poverty than the average American. Female-headed black families earn only 36% as much as 2-parent black families. Not only do unmarried mothers tend to earn relatively little, but their households are obviously limited due to a single breadwinner, thus further widening the income gap between one-parent households and two-parent households. Fully 85% of all black children in poverty live in single-parent and mother-child only homes. Give me the next slide. The single black illegitimacy rate is so high that these pathologies plague black more than they affect our other demographic. Now, if y'all was paying attention earlier, before civil rights, before the liberation, before all of that, you couldn't find these numbers. These numbers was not, you know how they have you being a red or you being a black? The black is where you're trying to get, the red is what you're in, it's in danger. We're in the red after civil rights and liberation. We was chilling prior to that. That's why we have to go back to that. Now, what do you have to remove to go back to that? Give me one thing you got to remove to go back to that. White man. Thank you. Who said that? What's your name, brother? That brother's smart. Goddamn white man. I know this title of this lecture. Remove the white man. Right. That's what I title of the lecture. Right. Illegitimacy, family breakdown, crime, and fraudulent education are all devastating problems, but they are not civil rights problems. That's what Walter E. Williams said. Hey, devil. I'm going to read it again. Illegitimacy, these are all things that plague black people. Illegitimacy, family breakdown, crime, and fraudulent educations are devastating problems, meaning they recognize that there's problems for black people, but they are not civil rights problems. But I thought civil rights was about black people getting rights that would make their life better. Right. So why are the things that are plaguing black people not civil rights problems? Because civil rights was never created to address black issues. That's why. And that's what you have to recognize. As late as 1950, black women nationwide were more likely to be married than white women. And only 9% of black families with children were headed by a single parent. This is 1950. You see that? 9%. In 1950s, black children had a 52% chance of living with both their biological parents until age 17. You'd be lucky if you get a year today. It said by the late 1980s, these odds dwindled to a mere 6%. So in the 1950s, 52, 1960s, 1980s, 6%. In 1959, only 2% of black children were reared in households in which the mother never married. 2%. That means every child was married. Excuse me, every child, their parents were married. There was only 2% that was not. How do we allow ourselves to get seduced that way? Because we love the white man more than we love ourselves. Right. Give me the next slide. While the overall black poverty rate remains about 2.5 times higher than the white poverty rate, the face of black poverty has changed dramatically in recent decades. At one time, almost all black families were poor regardless of whether both parents were present. Today, however, two-parent black families are rarely poor. Among black families where both the husband and wife work full-time, the current poverty rate is a mere 2%. So now, what this is basically saying is if you take the liberation movement and everything that's happened and how it destroyed us, if we slowly start to come back to this, and we go back to a black household the way it was meant to be, our structure is only now 2%. You got the next slide? In addition, growing up without fathers is a far better forecaster. Is a far better forecaster of a buller's future criminally than either race or poverty. I'm going to read it again. In addition, growing up without a father is a far better forecaster of a boy's future in being a criminal than either race or poverty. Meaning, without that father, you can guarantee you'll see it. Your son or your daughter is going to be a criminal because the father is the disciplinarian. Why do you think when I brought out, my mama would go get my father wherever he was at? Because I was getting too wild. So my mother would go find where Carl was at, and Carl would come put the fear of God in me. I'd straighten up for a little while until he went away again, and then I would mess up again, and then she'd go get him again until I got it together. And I finally got it together, didn't need it. But when that father came around, I straightened up. That's why I'm saying that. 70% of all young people in state reform institutions were raised in fatherless homes. as were 60% of rapists were raised in fatherless homes. 72% of adolescent murders and 70% of long-term prison inmates were also. As Heritage Foundation scholar Robert Rector has noted, illegitimacy is a major factor in America's crime problem. Lack of married parents, rather than racial poverty, is the principal factor in the crime rate. Give me the next slide. If you take that father out the home, you're destroying him. Even if, let's say, if y'all can't live together, if you take the father out the picture, you're destroying that home. Because there's no structure. You have to have a balance. A son can never learn how to be a man from a woman.
Right.
I don't care how managed. I don't care how managed you want to be. I don't care what wording you want to give him, what movie you want him to watch. There's nothing that's going to teach him how to be a man than a man.
Right.
Having a man in the house also helps your daughter. You know how it helps your daughter? A daughter does not learn how to be a wife potentially without seeing her mama be a wife to her father.
Right.
And then her interactions between the two of them will dictate how she's going to be when it's her time to be a wife. Now, when you remove the father, that's why it destroys the black household. That's why we have to resurrect that. Now, imagine the ones where the mother and father is there, and so that son gets to see the interaction, the daughter gets to see the interaction. It works out better. Children in single-parent households are not only raised not only with economic, but also social and psychological disadvantage. For instance, they are 4 times more likely as children from intact families to be abused or neglected, which is another thing that takes place. Another thing that takes place is the abuse. You can kill it. There's another thing that was the last slide. There's another thing that takes place where black women. There was a case that came out recently. I'll bring it up only because it fits the conversation. There was a case that came out recently where this guy, Prince George, just got arrested for beating their son and setting him on, burning him or something like that. And he wasn't even the child's father. So you would have to say, what type of woman would let their child be around that? Well, when you're run from the original father, because you want some type of protection, you'll let anybody in your house just to be with that man. To be with that man, there was in that movie, I'll bring up that movie, Medea's Family Reunion, for example. In that movie, Medea's Family Reunion, that mother let her daughter get raped by her husband because he was going to leave her if she didn't let him rape him. That's what you have when you remove the man out of the house. Now it's almost like survival. Well, I love him, so I'm going to sacrifice my own children. That's what our black women have become. So what I did with this lecture, which I hope y'all appreciate it, what I wanted to do with this lecture was not only just talk about destroying the black woman and making her feel like trash, but to just bring out the pitfalls that, number one, it's not her fault in the sense that she's been psychologically traumatized since slavery. So a lot of these things that she's doing, she thinks she's doing it naturally when she's been programmed since slavery. It's been hereditary. Your great-great-great-great-grandmother's been oppressed, and then all you've seen that you've been in a survival state. Just like the black man has been in a survival state. And we only had a short gap of being free from the white man, and that was maybe when slavery first got away from us until about the 1920s or so. And when the white man saw our greatness, he put that system in there to destroy us ever since. So that's the solution. So anybody got any questions? That continues my lecture. I appreciate that. Try not to have you all long. Don't teach me, please.
I have a question.
But anybody?
But if we've both been traumatized, it still may not, even though we come together, it still makes people some problems that create still sex, incest, abuse, because our minds have still not been healed.
The healing starts with this truth, and that's the Bible. That's why when I was bringing out the scriptures, understanding the order that's supposed to be between a man and a woman, and understanding, like, if you don't think that you're traumatized or think that you're bothered, you'll never actually go to get fixed. Everybody goes to the doctor all the time to get what? Medicine, right? Well, the Bible is the medicine for black people. In order for us to get healed, you have to be willing to take that medicine. And medicine don't taste good. Anybody ever take medicine that was nasty? I think all medicine is nasty, ain't it? But you taking that medicine because when you wake up in the morning, that cough congestion is going to be gone. That pain you had in your knee is going to be gone after you took that medicine. So we have to be willing to take that medicine. Without this truth, without the Bible, you may have moments of peace, but it'll never be fully fixed until we get to the truth.
Okay, I need to change the time, but I noticed a few brothers out here have a problem. They like to end and be verbally abusive.
Right.
So how do you handle a man? I mean, I don't have a man like that, but how would you handle? No, I don't have a nice one.
Right.
But how do you handle somebody who's like that? Because I find out here other of my girlfriends that they men are verbally abusive, or they like to be physically abusive. So what's up with that?
Well, some cases,
I know you don't have all the answers, but I'm just saying a lot of brothers out here like that.
what I would say first, if I were to give a scripture answer, 1 Peter 3:1 says a woman with a chaste conversation can bring her man. Now, in some cases, that's not always the answer. What I tell all my sisters and my brothers when they're facing problems like that, just call us and we'll take care of it. We'll solve the problem. No, I'm saying like y'all automatically go to violence. Y'all gonna come and beat them up? No. We're not talking about coming and beat them up. But like we're counselors. Like we're counselors.
Okay.
So we can counsel that brother, we can counsel that sister, we can counsel that sister and tell her what she's saying that's setting them off. Then we can counsel that brother to not go off what she's saying. Because again, you have that problem. Like we were all, like the brothers that you see in the U.P.K, they were all different walks of life. That's Israelite school U.P.K, that's where I'm at. So now we come from all different walks of life. We wasn't angels. We wasn't, we wasn't innocent or anything like that. And so once we came into the truth, we learned to kill our former self. Put off the former conversation. Become a man of God. That's what I said, like that spirit that they take on is a white man's spirit. Like the white man will beat a woman and so forth like that, have no regard. But a brother following the laws of the Most High, you will not do that.
Okay, I have another question too. Now, you're talking about the Bible, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna get technical here. Now, I have a problem with that Bible. No, I'm being honest with you, because didn't the Bible come out of Europe when you were back, when you were we didn't have that Bible until the white man came into Africa. So, is this the King James Version? This is your own new edition Bible? I'm being real here.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Don't let my laughter fool you. I take it serious.
Because I have a problem with the Bible that came from Europe and they brought that over, and that's what they used to enslave us. I'm just being real.
No, that's fine.
Okay, so what Bible do you go? Is this the King James Version that came out of Europe? Which one are you going to?
The Bible, okay,
No,
so now,
I want to know. I'm curious.
oh, no sweat. So when it comes to the Bible, first of all, the Bible is just a translation of Hebrew and Greek. The Bible is a translation of the Hebrew records. So when you read Genesis in English, you can find Genesis in Hebrew. They call it a Torah or a Tanakh. And it existed long before the King James Version. The King James Version is the one that we use is because it's the closest translation to the Hebrew and the Greek. Now, when you say it comes from Europe, when you say it comes from King James was not a white man. That's a misnomer. King James was a brother. You ever heard of the Dark Ages?
Yes.
The Dark Ages was dark to the white man because black people were ruling Europe. Right. About 300 AD to about the 1300s. So the Stuarts, where King James comes from, all of those were black men. And the reason why King James he didn't write the Bible, first of all. He just had the top Hebrew scholars and Greek scholars translate. And the reason why he was having it translated is because the white Catholics was trying to alter it all the way. So he fought against them to make sure that we have the proper Bible. When it comes to Africa, because we came out of Africa. The only reason we came out of Africa is because we were sold from Africa. We fled into Africa in 70 AD. In 70 AD, when Israel got destroyed as a nation, we fled. Over 1 million black people fled into Africa. So it's a lot of people that think that Africans are just selling any black person they can find. But Africans knew exactly who they were selling. They were selling us. That's why when you look up the records of slaves, you look at their names, you'll see that they had Hebrew names because we knew exactly who we were when we came over here. So it's not a European book. It's just here's how you know it's not European. Jesus Christ, right? You're familiar with that name, right? Who's Jesus Christ? Is he white or black?
I'm going to say he's black.
I don't know. No, okay, give me the popular notion of Jesus Christ.
I say he's black.
No, not what you say. Give me the popular.
Oh, they say he's white.
He's white, right? Can you find that in the Bible?
No.
That's how you know that it's not a European concept.
So wait a minute, you're moving too fast.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So wait, I'm trying to see. So you're telling me that King James was a black man,
right?
Okay, so why do I hear this stuff that King James was gay and he was bisexual? All this stuff.
Because he was fighting. Number one, that didn't come out about King James until about 40 years after he died. And that was again by his constituents who was trying to defame him. But there's no proven history that King James was gay. he wrote a letter to his son that told him not to be gay, to eschew from wearing women's clothing, piercing your nails, and everything. And here's another key thing. You're talking about the King James Bible, right? You know, the King James Bible say mankind shall not lie with mankind, right?
Right.
Faggots write Bibles today, and they take that out.
Right.
So King James was gay, he would have took that out.
I was trying to turn off and just do my little own spiritual
Don't do your own, sis.
And I was saying the Bible came out of Europe, so what's going on here? But where can I find that information when you said
don't leave. If
that
they don't find it in my bag, that's my bag right there.
was a black man? That I need to know.
How's hard? I got a book of, no, okay, I'm listening to you.
I'm just trying to get everything that you said, but I was kind of turned off by the Bible because of that, you know, because I was getting kind of confused here.
I have a book in my car, whether we get through the
That's how
Q&A
much
before you leave. I'm not selling it. It's my book. I'm not selling you the book. I'm just going to show it to you. But whether we do it now or afterwards, I'll show you in the book the history of King James, how all of them, and they knew they was Israelites too. They used to call themselves Jacobs and so forth.
But I was kind of turned
The book
off.
ain't that expensive though. It's only like $19.
Because I was kind of turned off because I studied all kind of different religions and different aspects. And I was having a problem. All my friends go hallelujah to the church with that Bible. I'm saying, what are they praying to the Bible for? That's what they used to cover. So I was like kind of confused.
Well, a lot of them are not praying. A lot of them are not praying to the Bible or to God. They're praying to that white Jesus that you're affirming.
Right.
And so we are stuck on a lot of imagery. That's why I say, what is the popular image of Christ? You say white boy. But when you actually read the Bible, you find out that he's not. So what you have to really analyze is if these white people lied about how he looked, what else did they lie about? What else did they keep from us? You understand? And then the part that you said about learning from these different things, don't do that. The Bible said, the Bible stop. You should stop right now. Because the Bible said that's weariness of flesh. You'll be learning and never able to come to the truth because you're too busy trying to learn everything. You got to ground yourself.
I was told that.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you again. All right, who else? Wait, before I come back to you.
You can let her go. You can let her
Okay, no sweat. Good. It's a Black Woman Day, right? So that's what we are. Yeah. When you read First Maccabees 3:48, it said that young men wore warlike apparel. And that's where we are. And black women need to see strong black men. You see the opposite. Oh, we carry the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha is the gap between the Old Testament and the New Testament. That's where you get the Feast of Dedication. That's where you get Maccabees. That's where you hear about Alexander the so-called Great. You got Ecclesiasticus, Ezra. So the Apocrypha is the gap in between. And that was one of the things the Roman Catholic Church was fighting King James on. That's why the word Apocrypha means hidden. Because King James was battling over that because they wanted that to be in there. Okay? Anybody, brother?
First I want to say, thanks for all the information and stuff I learned from y'all. But I
Speak up a little bit.
And I got left like a trumpet, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of young females I've met now, they'll say stuff like, they'll date a woman, they'll date a man, they'll date a bisexual, quote unquote man, but they will not do polygamy or multiple wives thing, which baffles me because if you're dating a man that likes men, why wouldn't you try that? So like, what's your how do you teach them that that's not wrong?
That's what we teach every day on the streets and in class. And then you'll be able to teach that. And that's just what America gives. America has taught, like when we talking about monogamy, which is in essence what we're talking about, because even whether they're dealing with whatever sex, they only want one-on-one, is what you're saying, right? Monogamy is something that was created by the white man. There's no other culture that ever taught monogamy. That's not an Israelite culture. That's a white man's culture of monogamy. And so really you're just battling this world. So you just have to battle it like that. I would recommend, where you from?
Well, you took like my
Where you?
Oh yeah, no, I mean like what you my
Like
child.
where you live at right now?
Oh, I live in the 90s.
Come to class.
I came a couple like last month and y'all was wrapping up the
okay.
in the corner.
Right.
So, but when's the classes?
I'll let you know after class.
Right.
I'm after this here.
The classes are open?
Say again?
The New York classes is
It'll
open.
be open soon. I know you're not.
No, you know.
Anybody else have any questions? Sis in the back?
Thank you for this lecture. It's very productive.
Thank you.
When you talk about women needing to be discreet, unfortunately, the people that probably need to hear it are probably not here. Unfortunately, I was hoping to see a lot more sisters here, and I'm a bit dismayed that they aren't here. And most of the sisters are here. I can feel their vibe. They probably know this already, but women should really practice hard in being discreet with their clothing. Because, you know, showing your breasts in the street is not appealing.
Right.
And it's just, I don't think
Well,
a
that's
lot
why
of,
we'll do more.
yeah,
Like, we'll do
it's
more, and then we'll
you
just
know,
do
and
more
you're
promotion to
showing your
keep it
stomach in the street, exposing your body all over the street like that. And then they wonder why the men don't stay. It's
right.
like,
Not only don't stay, but they wonder why the men talk to them in a certain manner.
yeah.
Like I remember Dave Chappelle had made a joke, but he was telling the truth. He said he saw this woman and she had her breast out, like puffed out. He was like, "Damn, look at them titties." I'm saying it like he said it. I don't normally talk like that. So what he said. So the woman was like, "Just because I'm dressed this way don't mean you have a right to talk to me that way." And Dave Chappelle said, "Well, you got to understand that's confusing. It's like if I walk out in a cop's uniform, people are going to expect me to uphold the law. So we have to be mindful of the way we dress. You understand? But we'll keep pushing it."
Yeah, the other thing is, and this brother talked about it, I was hoping since we were talking about women that you would have touched base a lot more on the issues of polygamy. I'm from a polygamous household. I'm a second wife, and that was very hard for people who knows me.
I did that already, sis, in October.
I was talking about this class.
You said your man lecture?
I was talking about this class.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
This class for women.
Oh, okay, I got it.
It's usually the women who have challenges with polygamy.
Right.
Not necessarily the men. The men may have challenges with how to go about managing and handling that issue, but it's usually the women who have problems with even accepting it.
Okay, well, when I speak on it again, I'll make sure I add that into it. I'm pretty good at it, so I'll make sure I add that subject to it. Okay? Anybody else? All right, with that, I'd like to thank y'all for coming out. We have a lecture. Let me see yours. I don't know if y'all in Syracuse, but we got a lecture coming up April 1st at the Beach and Branch Library, 2111 Salina Street, Syracuse, New York. Officer Tazaryach-The. We'll be doing it on drugs, the American tool to destroy black people. That'll be a lecture coming up. Thank you, Hodge, for coming out. Bless you, brother. All the sisters. What's your name again, sis? Mayana Household Ferret. And what radio show you got?
We do the debate talk for you, the relationship challenge.
Right, debate talk for you. I want to thank her for coming out. My mama came out. This is my first time she has been out. I think that's it. So I'd like to thank y'all for coming out. God bless. Good night.